Hello, welcome to Salisbury Cathedral's reflection for today, Tuesday, the 8th of September. I'm Robert Titley, the Canon Treasurer at the Cathedral. There was a headline in the paper on Sunday which rather caught my eye, and here it is. Vatican fights back to free Virgin Mary from mafia clan's deviant spirituality. Pope Francis has approved a working group made up of police and judges and anti-racketeering experts and theologians. What interesting meetings they must be. And the aim of the working party is stated as that of freeing Mary from the mafia and from criminal powers. It seems that the image of the Virgin Mary plays quite a powerful role in mafia culture in Sicily and other parts of southern Italy, and I think to an extent elsewhere. And the grossest expression of this is what's known as the inchino, the moment in a religious procession where the great statue of Mary being carried through the streets is made to stop and bow before the house of the local mafia boss, as a way of saying, I guess, that this man is blessed by God. Francis, says one writer, is determined to end, as the writer puts it, the mafia's cultural colonisation of Catholic ritual. Now, alas, often in the history of the church, there are times when the Christian faith is colonised, is recruited to serve some other cause, whether it's capitalism or patriotism, or even in the case of the Soviet Union during the Second World War, you might even say to support communism as a focus of national defiance and faith. And God is not mocked. The point of the church and the point of Christian faith is God. And God is the point of everything. And so God simply isn't available to be recruited to a so-called greater cause, however good that cause may be, let alone a wicked cause. Now, I bring this up today because I was struck by that article in the Sunday paper, and today is one of the feast days of the Blessed Virgin Mary in the church's calendar, both in the churches of the East and the churches of the West. And as Salisbury Cathedral is dedicated to the Blessed Virgin Mary, it's a day of particular significance for us. So in the next couple of minutes, if we seek not to try to colonise Mary, but to be taught by her story, let's see what it might show us. Mary is of significance in the Christian story, above all because of what she shows us about Jesus. Jesus is divine, but Jesus didn't just happen. Jesus was not the man who fell to earth. He doesn't just appear on earth in a human disguise, rather like one of the gods in Greek mythology. He is, as St. Paul puts it, born of a woman. And today is the day when we mark the birth of that woman, Mary. Now, why mark Mary's birth? We don't know on which day she was born, but today's the day we particularly remember it. Well, it's a reminder that the mother of Jesus didn't just happen either. She was herself the child of parents, people of whom we know nothing, by the way, really. So here we see a remarkable paradox that the salvation that Jesus brings, this decisive new thing that God does for humanity, is itself something that has origins. It springs up from earlier events in human history. Events which, in the case of Mary, I'm sure is the case, events that won't have seemed exactly cosmic at the time, though they would prove to have considerable echoes in the succeeding generations. It's a reminder that you and I also have origins. We live only in the now. That's the only moments in which we can exist. But just as we have a future for those who subscribe to Christian faith, an infinite future, we also have a past. We have origins. We are links in a human chain. Here at the cathedral, we are links in a chain of prayer that goes back 800 years on this site and considerably further than that on our original site. We aren't the first here, and we won't be the last. And what you and I do and say may have louder echoes in the future than we might imagine. Mary is portrayed, however, as much more than just a passive link in a chain of events. The great moment is in Luke's Gospel when the angel, the messenger from God, comes and tells Mary of God's purposes for her, and Mary says yes. She actively allies herself with God's purposes. Well, there's a message for the leaders of organised crime. Stop trying to buy off God. Instead, try to say yes to God's purposes and see where that leads you. You and I are links in a chain. We're uncomfortably aware of that at the moment. In the last few days, we've seen the coronavirus infections surging again at an alarming rate. Here is a really uncomfortable reminder of our connectedness one to another as human beings in society. And a paradox here, of course, the way that we need to express that connectedness with one another is to do all we can not to be the link by which the virus passes from one to another. There are two ways in which we're particularly asked to do this: social distancing and wearing a mask. And there's quite a contrast between the two. You and I might keep our 2 meters distance, and even if I don't care a hoot about your health, I'll still do that because it happens to help you, but it helps me too. It makes it more likely that I will stay healthy. With the mask, it's not really like that. Wearing a mask is not really going to be much use to me in staying healthy, but it might just help you. Hence those adverts in the papers where you'll see someone perhaps in the care sector or in a hospital uniform saying, "I wear this to protect you, wear yours to protect me." It is a highly visible sign of how God has made us. God has allowed a world to exist and a species to exist, such of which you and I are part, a species in which each member depends upon the other. So when you're next going somewhere where you're asked to wear a mask, let it be a practical act of compassion to others. Let it also be a moment with God, a moment of prayer. As you fish in your pocket or your handbag to get the mask out, you might remember these words said by John Henry Newman, whom Pope Francis made a saint last year. "God has created me to do him some definite service. I have my mission. I am a link in the chain, a bond of connection between persons. He has not created me for naught. I shall do good. I shall do his work." Or if you want something even briefer, there are these words from Luke's Gospel of the woman whose birth we celebrate today. "Let it be with me according to your word." Thank you very much for listening, and may God be with you.